Hello and welcome into the RotoWire Esports Show. My name is Andrew Laird, joined as always by Ethan Sexton today to talk about Sunday's four-game LPL LCK slate. Ethan, I was looking at the Saturday slate, which I had a total cliff drive on. I think that Suning, I don't want to say like I'm never playing Suning again, but like I keep getting trapped by them, and with four sweeps today, there was like no chance of me cashing since I tend to always play an underdog. There's a team on Sunday's slate that feels very Suning-ish to me in terms of getting trapped, and I'm curious to see if you're going to walk me out of them or right into them. Any idea who it is?
Is it? Well, if I look at the salaries, I guess would it have to be an underdog? Are you thinking it's HLE or?
It is not. I actually thought you
Okay.
might pick HLE only because we were talking about how we have missed on them twice now.
Okay.
Rogue Warriors.
Rogue Warriors. Okay, yeah. No, I definitely get that for tomorrow's slate because what are V5 doing with their lineup? They're switching it up again. It's weird. They're bringing in former EDG top laner Aodi to make his first start. And according to what I saw, like I use this website Leaguepedia for all the roster moves, and they have it on their site that he just joined today. So if he hasn't been with the team at all, I'm very curious why he's starting tomorrow so quickly. You know, he's a guy who played kind of sporadically last year. I don't think he played at all in the summer, if I'm remembering right, or if he did, it was very little. So that was kind of a weird one. And the other weird thing, they're starting Trigger again over Y4, and we just saw this on, I think, this past week when they beat BLG. They got smashed in game one with Trigger, and then they came back and brought in Y4 and pulled off a reverse sweep. So it seems a little weird what V5 is doing with their lineup tomorrow. So I was looking at Rogue Warriors myself as an underdog we could potentially take a shot on here.
Yeah, it wasn't even so much for that, although that's only walking me closer into doing it. But like I feel like Rogue Warriors have wins against good teams, and they generally score well. And that's just like everything I think of when I play Suning, except Suning, like I feel like Suning's actually good and Rogue Warriors like can be good. But I say that Suning now in like a three series losing streak. So what do I know? But yeah,
Right.
Anytime Rogue Warriors is on a slate and they're like an underdog, and I'm just going to walk right back into this one, aren't I?
Yeah, but I can't really fault you tomorrow. Like if you said to me you were looking at them and they were playing like an Invictus Gaming, Top Esports, one of the like teams we consider to be some of the best in the league, then I would look at you a little sideways maybe. But this Victory 5 team, I mean, they're 2-1. They're off to a pretty good start, and they don't look awful by any means, but they also, don't look like they're going to be one of the teams that's going to fight. Certainly not fight for the title, or they might even be a team that misses out on playoffs. So, going with Rogue Warriors tomorrow, I don't think is a bad idea or like a crazy idea. You know what I mean? The thing with Rogue Warriors, they're 1-3, but to steal like a line from Bill Simmons, are they the good bad team? Like they're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but they're not like atrocious, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've definitely looked better than the teams that surround them, except for like. I think like Suning, who has the same record, are the other team we could say this about. But like both those teams have looked better than say like an LGD or a Thunder Talk Gaming or a OMG. So it's not like they're like just so abysmal and playing. They just look like crap every time they play. So I could definitely see taking a shot on them, and I wouldn't fault anyone for doing it.
I should just PayPal you my entry fees instead.
I need them, man. My bankroll needs the money. So yeah.
So looking at the Sunday slate, the two LCK favorites are the bigger ones, T1 over KT, and then Genji over our nemesis, HLE. And then WE favored over LNG, basically with the same odds as V5 over Rogue Warriors.
Yeah.
It just feels like Rogue Warriors, and I don't know why I feel this way, but it just seems like they have a much more reasonable path to not only win, but to score better than LNG would against WE. The odds don't really. I guess the kill totals in in the Rogue Warrior series are a little higher. But do you think you're more likely to take a shot on Rogue Warriors or LNG, or the two LCK underdogs?
I think out of the underdogs, I like Rogue Warriors the best. I think they're playing a team that isn't as good. Like, if we look at the other favorites on the slate, like T1, Gen G, and WE are all teams that we think should be competing for the title in their respective leagues, whereas V5 we don't feel the same way about. So I think that's the reason why I would lean towards Rogue Warriors as the underdog I think will actually have a chance of winning, or the best chance of winning at least. But a couple of these other underdogs are a little bit live. I mean, the only one I don't really love is KT. I'm not really feeling great about their chances against T1 tomorrow. I think T1 have lost, 2 series this year, but it was to Damwon and it was to Gen G, who are looking like two of the best teams as well. So we can give them maybe a little bit of a pass there. And I do think T1 just have a better overall roster top to bottom than KT, so I'm not that excited about KT tomorrow, but there's definitely paths to victory for both HLE and LNG. I don't think either one of them win, but I could see them both winning, I guess, is where I'm at on them. Probably, I really like both Gen G and WE's rosters a lot, though, so I'm still expecting that they're going to get it done, but HLE and LNG both have teams that can cause some upsets, and they've both looked pretty solid to start the year. But I think what we'll end up seeing with HLE is that they're going to be in that 4th tier, and they can't beat the teams ahead of them. Like, they can't beat the 3 teams ahead of them in T1, who I likely think will be T1, Damwon, and Gen G. So it might just be that HLE becomes a sort of gatekeeper for the other teams that are just below them, and they end up being the 4th best team in the league, but they can't quite take down the 2 teams or the 3 teams that are ahead of them.
Right. That makes sense. So on Saturday's slate, we saw 4 favorites sweep, which for those of us who like to play underdogs was a disaster. The winning lineup, I believe, was FPX, Red Force with a Jackie Love one-off, which was somewhere I was never going. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, I just haven't been thinking of one-offs enough. I played one once, and it somewhat worked out. That one did work out. But this slate, it seems like the favorites are priced so highly that getting a one-off even from a favorite is not going to be that easy. Do you think where do you think most people are going, at least for their 4-man? Do you think people will trust the LCK teams just because they're bigger favorites? It seems that way.
I know I've been saying this a lot. I wonder if we kind of see ownership spread out on those top 3 favorites again. I'm not sure if it'll end up being that way, but it kind of feels like they're all fairly safe. And they're all really good teams. Maybe T1 is the lowest owned of the 3 because they've looked the shakiest, albeit, like we said, their 2 losses are against 2 of the other title favorites in the league. But maybe people don't go there as much as they start off by really trying to hammer in some Gen G and WE lineups or long stacks and kind of going from there. But I wonder if we do see those 3 favorites kind of leech a little bit of ownership off each other tomorrow.
Yeah. I just feel like some days looks like you got to get a little wacky, whether it's a captain from a 3 from your short stack or something like that. Yeah. But the pricing on this slate is just tough. It makes it really tough. Yeah.
To do the favorites route for sure. I mean, but that's why I wonder if Rogue Warriors ends up being pretty popular because we've already mentioned we like them as an underdog, and I think other people will kind of look in their direction too, and then fill out the rest of their lineups with these bigger favorites and go from there.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that so T1 and Gen G are the bigger favorites, but WE is the most their players are the most expensive at every position. Yep. Except support. Missing's the second there, so it's not. That's kind of interesting to me, only because usually I feel like they're much more aligned with the betting odds. Although they're I guess they're the second most expensive team slot. So it almost seems like Gen G might actually be like the value favorite, if you will.
Right.
But they also seem...
They have the toughest matchup
right.
as well, probably, though. But they've looked really great so far this year, though, so I wouldn't really shy away from using them at all. The concern with them sometimes is like, and we say this about other teams sometimes too, some of these teams are just not as explosive as others, and historically Gen G have been like a slower paced team in the past. But so far this year they've really come out firing on all cylinders and they've looked great. So even though on paper their matchup looks like it could be the toughest, I mean, I wouldn't really fear using them too much, to be honest. I mean, I think WE are priced up the highest because they're the biggest LPL favorite, and we're used to seeing the LPL games with much larger kill totals when it's all said and done. So I'm guessing that's why they're priced up as the highest price, and rightfully so. I mean, I like I've talked about before, I like some of LNG's pieces. I always liked Icon as a player, and I like Tarzan a lot. So LNG definitely stand a chance, I think, but I do think WE are pretty deserving of those high price salaries tomorrow.
I wonder if V5 ends up being the lowest owned favorite just because, well, not that everybody thinks Road Warriors can win, but like we also don't have their top laner in the pool, which
yeah, right.
Hopefully that changes by the time the slate starts, but they're like not overly expensive. Like you can do V5 with Gen G pretty easily. Let me see if it goes the other way.
The sneaky thing to do tomorrow is plug in Y4 even though he's not starting, and then when he comes in after game one, he cleans up. You've got him at like less than 1% ownership.
Right.
I could see that happening, but I don't know. That's kind of obviously you got to be a little weird because there's no guarantee that he's going to play, but that could be a little sneaky thing to do tomorrow if you're going for that like the first prize in the main GPP or something like that. I could see that happening, honestly, and I don't know. I'm confused why they're starting Trigger because he looked so bad the other day, and I mean, I get it kind of because Y4, like, he's never really been a guy to really inspire that much faith in a team, but he's definitely looked better than the limited amount we've seen Trigger so far this season, so it's a little confusing why they did that, but who knows?
Yeah. Do you think LNG like really have a shot at WE or no?
I mean, I fully expect WE to win, and they should probably sweep, but would it shock me if LNG won? It wouldn't shock me, but I would be a little bit surprised. Like I think WE are pretty safe on this slate. They've looked really great so far this year, and pretty high on their team coming into the season as well. And even though I like some of LNG's pieces, and they've won their 2 series that they've played so far, this one might be a little like a bridge too far for them. I really think WE should be one of the handful of teams fighting for the title this year. So, LNG, we're probably looking at them more as like a team that's either just outside of playoffs or one of the last teams in. So I think this could be just like a little bit too much of a mountain to overcome, or whatever you want to say. I really like WE a lot, and I think they're relatively safe to use tomorrow.
That makes sense. So I guess that leaves KT as the lowest, truly the lowest owned.
Yeah, but maybe people go there because T1 have lost 2 series, and they're like, well, they've lost twice, and they're not really thinking about, well, it was to the 2 other title teams fighting that have looked, great so far this year. So I don't know. I don't feel great about KT at all, really. Kind of, I like UCal, and they have a couple other solid pieces, but I think T1 are just better top to bottom, so I would expect T1 to win. But is it like a 2-1? That I could see a 2-1 there more than maybe a sweep necessarily. So I don't know. It's hard to say because there's like the favorites there's 3 pretty big favorites that are in pretty good spots, which might spread some ownership, and then people probably aren't as high on V5. Might be looking at Rogue Warriors. Maybe take a shot on HLE because they've got a talented roster. Same with LNG. I don't know. It's hard to say, I guess.
Yeah, at least it seems like it should be fairly spread around, which is all we really want.
Yep.
25-way ties for first and 39-way ties for second never help anybody.
It's better when you only tie with like 5 people instead of 25.
Right. That'll be for the Monday and Tuesday slates at least.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. If you guys have enjoyed the video, if you could just please hit the like button below. If you want them delivered right to you, just hit the subscribe button as well as that little bell that'll notify you every time we have a new video coming out. You could also just check out the, I think we called it the Daily Fantasy Esports playlist for under the RotoWire ones if all you care about is League of Legends. But we do have other videos for NBA, NFL, NHL, and so on. So check those out. So Ethan, thank you for that, and good luck on Sunday.
All right, man. Same to you.